colder weather is on the way across the UK. We're going to see a return of widespread frosts and increasing likelihood of ice. But at this stage, for the forecast for the rest of this week into the weekend, we are not currently expecting any widespread heavy snowfall. However, things get quite interesting as we go into next week. And looking at the longer range, now there's always more uncertainty with the longer range, and the computer models are not really agreeing with what could happen next week. Let's take a look at some examples. This is one scenario for next week, low pressure to the northwest of the UK. Here's the UK, it's still blue, so it's still going to be cold. The winds coming in from the northwest means that it's the northwest of the UK that's most likely to see sleet and snow showers. The greener colours here, milder air with some rain trying to push into the west, but much of the UK in this scenario would be largely dry and bright, but cold. However, this is just one computer model. Another one of the computer models, the European model, the EC model, is suggesting something very different, with the low pressure now to the southwest of the UK. It's still blue across the UK, so either way, it looks like the cold spell will last. But in this scenario, crucially, the winds are now coming in from the east. This is a similar setup to when we had the beast from the east in 2018. But I must point out that the air in this scenario is not as cold as it was back in February and March 2018. Then we had these darker blues across the UK. So it's not as cold, not as severe, but this would still bring some very interesting weather. So what does it mean in terms of weather? Well, if that first scenario is correct, with low pressure to the northwest, yes, it will be cold wherever you are. And there will be some wintry showers, sleet and snow, most likely in the northwest over the hills and mountains of western Scotland. But in this scenario, widespread blankets of heavy snow are less likely. The other scenario, however, where we have those easterly winds picking up, well, that could be somewhat different. That means that the air and the feel will be that much colder because there'll be strong winds as well. Widespread nighttime frost as well, largely clear at night. So hard frosts. Wintry showers are likely in the east because that's where our winds are coming from. So the east coast could see some sleet and snow. And in this scenario, with those easterly winds, there is a greater potential, and that's all it is at this stage, a potential for widespread heavy problematic snow. Now, this is a long way off. We're talking 7-8 days away. So at the moment, we just can't pin down the detail, but just to give you a flavour of those different scenarios that could pan out next week. The main message at the moment is stay tuned to the forecast, and there's lots of different ways that you can do that, particularly across social media. Make sure you keep up to date with the Met Office. We will be the first to let you know if there are any warnings in force.